Let's start this conversation today. We last couple of weeks here, we've been talking about listening and language and things like that. So I want to stay higher level, right? You guys want to know how to prevent cancels. I got a list of 50 topics over here on like how to change cancels and stuff. Yet, I think you all know if you understand the higher level stuff first, then it's easier to implement, easier to get buy-in, easier to understand the why of how you manage a cancel. And then that's not so surprising when I tell you don't charge cancel fees, right? When I tell you the success of cancels, of getting less cancels and getting zero no-shows and increasing arrival rate is actually due to the fact that of what you did on the first phone call. So again, if we go to this why stuff, if we stay at this higher level stuff, it will definitely help you move forward in all the how-to stuff, right? Let's talk about this today. This word business efficiency. I love this word. It's about doing it better and quicker with less friction. So any of those things and all of those things are efficiency, right? Because you can do things more quickly. It doesn't mean they'll be better. So I want to throw in the context of better. And what I mean by better is better results more quickly for your patients, for your business, for your staff, right? So that's where the efficiency comes in. It also helps you not to lose your mind as a manager and an owner of trying to chase a outcome that you're chasing from the wrong place, right? So yelling at PTs about cancel rates, that is not an efficient way to manage your business and to manage a metric that you want to change in your business. Right. And so what I want to talk about today is how this front desk thing that you know me all for, that, right, I help people with, there's a purpose and a reason for starting here. It happens to be one of the, second step really in your patient's life cycle, second phase. And so therefore, it has a greater impact on your business than anything that happens after that, including customer arrival, including treatment, right? Because remember, if I understand how to run my business efficiently, if I understand my patient life cycle, then everything I do today is to make tomorrow better, easier, faster, AKA more efficient. Where this comes from, this mindset, I believe I've done a video or two on this, is this understanding and thinking about your business as an ecosystem. This was a huge impact on me in understanding where this front desk role and where this front desk phase and where these front desk job tasks fit in the bigger picture of patient success and business success. Your business as an ecosystem. An ecosystem, right, is an environment with all kinds of things interacting. Oversimplified, yet I think good enough for this. So your business is an ecosystem. You could say it's not in a bubble, but let's just pretend here. It's in a bubble. And your business is impacted by all the things I've ever talked about over the last 12 years. It's your marketing, it's your people, it's your environment, it's your payments, it's your expectations. It's all this stuff feeds into the ecosystem. Nothing is not part of the ecosystem. Everything is part of the ecosystem. So if we take a step back and look at ecosystems, the only true way to understand how to make changes in an environment, your business, is to understand the whole ecosystem first. Otherwise, you're constantly chasing short-term solutions. So when someone cancels and you go to your provider and go, why did they cancel? You need to change this cancel today. You are approaching it from the wrong place with the wrong mindset. First thing you have to do when someone cancels is go upstream. Did they understand the cancel policy? Were they shared the cancel policy? Were they told why arriving was important? Were they told that their plan of care and them arriving is on them, right? Is important because of them and the goals they wish to get back to. That right there is the bestest example of your business as an ecosystem. Because if you do all those things I just told you upstream, your cancel rate goes down. So think of something occurring right on the first phone call that prevents a problem in month 2. Right? Month 2 is 2 months downstream. And then we wait for the cancels and try to solve them then. And it doesn't work because we're already so deep into the ecosystem. The person has been coming, they've been told certain things, their expectations haven't been set, expectations haven't been met, and therefore they cancel, and they cancel frequently. And then you engage me to fix a cancel problem. And I say, sweet, let's look at your first phone call. And you go, what? And we have this discussion about your business as an ecosystem. And again, let's double back. The coincidence, not coincidence, but I didn't know this at the time. I just started doing work at the front desk, right? So I guess we could call it a coincidence because I started doing work at the front desk because I saw bigger change when we implemented this work at the front desk in our business and nowhere else, right? The billing problems are a huge example. Cancel problems and billing problems are a huge example of your business as an ecosystem. And if you understand your ecosystem or not. We were getting complaints, we were getting negative reviews online about billing statements that were coming a month, 2 months after people were discharged, right? After their course of care was finished. There is nothing further downstream in our business ecosystem. There is, but just for argument's sake, there's nothing further downstream than a patient getting a billing statement from you 2 months, 1 month after they've been discharged, and then blowing up the whole relationship and blowing up the whole business. So we did what everybody does. We tried to fix our billing problem, right? From this context of 2 months after it was done. We spent about 8 months, time, money, and energy into this billing problem. At that point of the problem, nothing changed. I had coincidentally changed the first phone call. And one of the things we knew we had to address, I had changed the first phone call. And when this billing problem didn't change, I had been working on, the first phone call, but no understanding of this business as an ecosystem, things like that. And when it didn't work, I thought, let me take a bigger step back and look at this problem. And then it struck me that our billing problem was a communication problem. I immediately went all the way back. So we could say 4 months later, if we could turn back the clock to the very beginning of people's life cycle within our business. So when they physically entered our ecosystem by calling us, right? Because they enter your ecosystem when they see your marketing. And so I went back to that first contact and said, let's change the phone conversation around what you should expect from billing. 3 months later, no problems. And so billing problems, cancel problems are the best example of this business efficiencies and how your front desk is actually a greater asset than you think about just because they're the entry point to the business. And putting new patients on the schedule who will arrive, pay, and stay. Huge ROI of that, right? Huge. Yet there's more, right? They're preventing billing problems. They're preventing cancels. They're preventing no-shows. So, right, they're decreasing no-shows, decreasing cancels, decreasing drop-offs. That's another big tell on your ecosystem. I say this all the time. Drop-offs are the number one measure of your ecosystem, your patient's experience. Right. And then increased completed plans of care, increase first visit arrival rate, increase copay collections or payment collections, right? All through that front desk. So the front desk is a huge cog in your business, in this system, in the process of your business. And they turn a lot of levers and they activate a lot of levers and they impact almost every lever within your business. So like I said, I didn't start working with the front desk because I understood all this. I started working with my front desk just because I knew we needed to have a different conversation to get people in my business when we went out of network. Everything else was icing on the cake. I'm just glad I knew early on and could make the realization, at least with a very narrow vision of the greater impact, but just that we got to change his first phone call, right? When we went out of network, it was like, we got to change the first phone call. That was all I knew. That's where this journey started. We got to change the first phone call. I remember thinking that. I didn't know what to, I didn't know how, I didn't know what we were going to use. I didn't know where we were going to get the training, nothing. I just knew when people called our business, right, over 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and we're going to say, I want to get scheduled for physical therapy. How much does it cost? Or do you take my insurance? I knew we had to change that conversation. Little did I know that the efficiencies of the business would improve immensely. Little did I know the impact downstream that these conversations and that this expectation management and this trust building would have on my ecosystem as a whole, and yours too. And we see it everywhere. You guys just go back and think of any example of when you first call a business, when you first contact a business, when you first go online with the business, right? And the friction points and the efficiencies, and the easier it is for you earlier in your journey with that business, the more successful that business will be with you. I saw a post on Twitter the other day, someone ranting, right, about 2 retail sites. And they said, I am ready to spend my money with you. And they posted who they were, right? And it said, and it wasn't to bash the retail company. It was to put a heads up. It was a woman, and she said, right, you guys are making it so difficult. I am ready to spend my money, and I can't find a button to move forward to spend my money, right? So think about that early interaction, someone calling your business, right? And having questions and not getting questions about payment around what you guys do around, can you help me, right? It's the same thing. So this person maybe goes off the website frustrated, maybe goes back, maybe doesn't, right? Just like the person who schedules physical therapy, right, for their low back pain for 10:30 on Thursday. Maybe they arrive, maybe they don't, but that's a risk. No business, no good business, right? Remember all these books back here, right? The biggest takeaway from all these books is how they manage people early on, understanding their journey within their business, understanding their patient, what their wants and needs are. Talked about this earlier this week, right? We got to know who we can serve and what we serve them with. And that's how the first phone call is managed. Now, in the meantime, the beauty of this, you're setting and managing expectations around multiple things that it can end up impacting you further down your ecosystem, further into the patient's journey. Cancel rates, no-shows, right? Arrival rate, copay payment collection, completed plans of care, drop-offs. Your first phone call with this mindset of managing and setting expectations and making sure your customer has a frictionless experience. I like that word in business, right? Because the example I gave you for this person on Twitter is there was huge friction to her doing business with you. And she was not going to do business with those 2 retailers because of the difficulty. Friction is difficulty, right? And your front desk starts this journey and sets the expectations and manages the expectations and doesn't send people paperwork without asking them if they want the paperwork. Doesn't ask people, here's a big one, doesn't ask people if they want to use their insurance before they talk about or have asked about price. We give payment information on the first phone call. We don't ask for your insurance. We don't ask for your credit card number. We ask, how do you want to pay for this? No assumptions. So many assumptions early on that lead us into all these problems further into your patient's life cycle, further into your ecosystem. And the deeper they get into the ecosystem, the harder it is to change these things and impact these things, right? So again, if we're trying to solve cancel problems at the point of the cancel, it's a short-term solution. That's why you've been yelling at your PTs for 5, 6, 10 years on cancels. If you try to solve a billing problem at the point it happened, it is a short-term solution. It won't be a solution that sticks. The further upstream you go to solve these problems, the greater impact you will be, and the more long-term the solution will be, right? So this is the efficiency here. And by the way, all this business efficiency means what? Less energy, less time, more money for the business, less friction. Less friction for your client, customer, patient means less friction for your team, right? So not collecting copays, right? You want to talk about the friction further down road for your team, calling people, asking people, sending out billing statements. Just dealt with a company, right? And they track this stuff and it's snuck through, and it's the 80-20 rule, but right, a client got a surprise bill for like $350. What really it came down to, right? So we could say, wow, they got this surprise bill. We should have told them it was coming. So we dug deeper. check this out. Here's another great example. They got a surprise bill. We dug deeper. The total of the bill was all the copays that weren't collected. So this wasn't a billing problem, wasn't a surprise problem. It was a problem further upstream in the ecosystem of one, let's go back one step further, making sure people knew that payment was due at the time of service, and then two, collecting it. And again, that's an expectation when I train front desk people, team members. That's an expectation we set, that payment is due at the time of service. Every single visit. You can pay on your way in or your way out. That's up to you. But we will ask and we'll collect at each visit. Then magically, people don't forget their wallets. Then magically, people don't forget to pay, right? That's on you again. I've heard every excuse from every front desk person, and then I've sat there and I've looked at it, and I look at the people who set the expectation like that and people who don't. Right? Magically, all these excuses disappear too. Because why? Because your customer, your client, your patient is expecting to pay. When I worked the front desk, right, in my clinic, people walk in. You know, I'd greet them. Hey, Bill, good to see you. Once you have a seat, you know, your physical therapist, Dr. Jane Doe, will be with you promptly at 9:30. Bill would walk up. Hey, can I pay my, he wouldn't ask. He would say, can I pay my copay now? I'd go, yeah, great. Let me take that for you. Right. But he would come up and ask, or people would walk in and go, hey, I'm here. And they'd stand there with their credit card or their check or something. Right. And this is all part of running a business, and it's part of business efficiency. That copay collected today is actually worth more money today than me sending out a statement in 2 months, right? $300 surprise bill was a $25 copay, right? Times however many visits, 4 times 12 visits, right? $25 ain't a lot. $300 is, right? So this is this whole mindset about your front desk and the conversations they're having and what is occurring during phase 2, first contact to arrival. Because don't forget, your front desk is going to manage and set expectations on the first phone call. And then when they hang up, they're going to be emails, they're going to be videos, they're going to be reminders throughout phase 2 before they arrive. So by the time they arrive, no, there are no surprises. I used to have signs hanging up in our back office where we answered the first phone call and billing sat that said no surprises. A bill a month after that you didn't expect is a surprise. And it wasn't a billing problem. It was a collecting copay problem. If I understand my business as an ecosystem, then I go back upstream and go, why did they get the bill? They didn't pay their copay. Why not? Right? We keep chipping away. Well, they didn't pay their copay on Thursday, on Tuesday, on the Thursday before. We just keep going back. Who was, right? Were they told they were going to have to pay? Then who was at the front desk? Why wasn't it collected? That's solving the problem. That's business efficiency. That's looking at your business as an ecosystem. That is understanding your patient's life cycle within your business. Your front desk is the beginning of this journey. ABC Physiotherapy. This is Jerry. How may I help you? Boom. It all begins. They've seen your website. They've seen some other stuff, right? Maybe they filled out a web form. But the journey really starts, right? The rubber hits the road when, is this going to be what I hope it is? I have lots of questions. I have lots of thoughts. I have lots of doubts. I have a lot of uncertainty. I have a lot of fear. ABC Physiotherapy. This is Jerry. How may I help you? I ask questions. I set and manage expectations. I build trust. Remember, the goal here, if you guys, nothing else when we get done with this, just think about how much trust does your new patient scheduled today at 1 o'clock have in your company prior to arrival. The more trust they have prior to arrival, the greater likelihood of success of that evaluation. The more trust they have at arrival means you have set and managed the bulk, the majority, the mass of expectations that are going to impact all those things I told you about earlier: arrival rate, copay, drop-offs, completed plans of care, cancels, all that. Because trust equates with managing and setting expectations. Trust equates to asking better questions, which leads to setting and managing expectations. And the more trust you have, this is that trust trajectory I talk about. The more trust you have at arrival, and arrival is the end of phase 2, right, is the end of ownership for your front desk, where the ownership is transferred to the provider and starts phase 3 of this patient life cycle. The more trust they have at that transfer, then the magic has already been done. The work has been done. 3 objectives of phase 2, right, of your patient's life cycle, which is the furthest upstream. Start to build a relationship that will last throughout their entire life cycle with your company. Be a problem solver, right? You can't be a problem solver without asking questions. That's really where that came from. That stemmed from, I can't solve your problem if I don't ask you the right questions. I love that one. It's actually that's the diamond in the rough right there. So start to build a relationship, be a problem solver, and set the provider up for success. And all those come back to asking better questions, managing and setting expectations, and building trust. All that ties into business efficiency. So there is work to be done at the front desk. Now, this is what's interesting. You may or may not be thinking this, but let me throw this into your head. Everybody calls me and says, oh, there'll be more work. Oh, it sounds like a lot of work. I'm like, you got your fucking front desk team members running around like chickens with their heads cut off. No, there won't be more work. It'll be more efficient. I've never added more work, because what we do is we find there are tasks they're doing that are a result of not managing and setting expectations earlier in the patient's journey, further up the ecosystem. So you currently, this is what scares me when people say they're building out systems and processes for their business. And I'm always like, did you map out your patient life cycle? No. I said, well, you're going to end up redoing those systems and processes multiple times. Where's everybody fucking start their systems and process building? At the fucking clinical side. Drives me batty. And then I have taken more work away from the providers in the last 2 years. That's the other thing. Oh, it's more work. I'm like, it's far less work downstream. This isn't a zero-sum game. So even if you perceive and believe it will be more work for your front desk, the diminishing work, meaning just doing and delivering for your providers, for your billing team, is insane. Again, we're back at this word efficiency. So I put more energy here into the system at the front, but look at how much less I have to put in downstream, where everybody building systems in the middle are just creating a lot of energy and a lot of work, and it's inefficient as all hell. The way you increase buy-in on a plan of care is make sure the patient knows what to expect when they arrive during that evaluation. That means less work for the provider. So if anybody wants to, I'm going to throw this out. If anybody wants to talk about this and understand this efficiency and how work diminishes and decreases further downstream, I already said your front desk is not doing more work, it's just doing better work. So we decrease the amount of work at the front desk, make it more efficient, which again diminishes the amount of work needed to do further downstream. And at the end of the month, less work, more efficient, bigger ROI, more money in the bank. You're not getting anything for free because you're connecting all the dots. And this is then about connecting the dots. And that's understanding an ecosystem too, is connecting all the dots within the ecosystem, within the environment. And this is where everybody misses out. And again, starts building systems for the clinical side and the provider. And I'm like, shift that work upstream. Business efficiency, less energy, less time for more money. So if you want to talk about this, just chat. You type into the chat below. Right? Type in biz efficiency, practice efficiency, front desk efficiency, whatever you want. And I'll reach out to you. Otherwise, keep coming back here and I'll keep sharing with you. But this front desk thing is way bigger, way bigger, way bigger than anybody has ever imagined. And it took me 10 years to figure it out. So I'm just going to tell you now so you can just dial it in today. Again, if you want to have a conversation about any of this, if you want to jump on a call and talk about this business efficiency and how we can increase the ROI of your current system just by looking further upstream, then type it down below: biz efficiency, practice efficiency, front desk efficiency, anything. And by the way, it all leads into efficiency everywhere else. It leads into billing efficiency, provider efficiency. It's freaking brilliant. Don't make my mistakes. Don't make that. That's what this is all about. Don't make my mistakes. Do it right now. Do it the correct way now, and get a bigger ROI on less work and less time invested into it, right? You always got to put it in somewhere. Don't get me wrong, but the work you put in today will continue to reap the benefit day in and day out. And then you get the freedom you want sooner. The sooner you can run an efficient business is the sooner you can leave it. When you can leave it is when someone else will be interested in paying you for it, whether to invest in it or so you can exit and sit on the beach. Doesn't matter. Cool. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing well. We're almost on a year. Whew. So have a great day, and comment down below if you want to have a conversation. Cheers all.